Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Oh man, I don't know when you're going to be seeing this, but for me, it's Saturday night. And what am I doing? I'm sorting Pokemon cards, I'm sorry, I have an accent. Um, and thinking about E3, specifically E3 2001, as I'm sorting my grandson's Pokemon cards here. I started watching the Electric Playground in the background, Victor Lucas, Tommy Tallarico from back in the day, and E3 2001 came up, and I've talked about this before, guys. And I really want to say that that E3 was memorable for so many reasons. And a lot of people will tell you, I wish I would have known what the good times were back then, or how good the times were back then, and we didn't really appreciate them. Well, I did. I did because I couldn't be there. And if I had to travel back in time, if you had to travel back in time to go to one E3, which one would it be? For me, it's this one, hands down. Hands down, guys. It's been for me iconic. I think it's for many reasons. For me, it's the best E3 ever. And let me share with you why. The four banners right there tell you everything, right? Dreamcast, unfortunately, was on the way out, right? Sega had announced already, I believe at this time, that they were exiting the market, but they were still there, right? And they said that they were going to produce games. And the unique part of this era is that you had four different platforms with different offerings. Some of the games were shared, right? But every platform had some unique games to them, experiences that you can only have on that particular console. And it's something, of course, that we're missing today now, especially because the catalyst is, Xbox. It wants to sell everything everywhere, which is, not great, in my opinion, right? Are they going to go back to exclusives? I mean, hopefully so with all the studios they've bought, but they need to make money. The pressure from investors is going to be crazy. And nobody would have thought about those things back then. Xbox wasn't thinking about those things. And everything was more exciting, and it's hard to tell people, especially younger people, what the ambience was back then, what the hype was back then, because you could have your own console. You could be, a GameCube guy, or you could be a PlayStation guy. Most people were PlayStation people back then, or you could just jump into the Xbox and experience something new, and it was an era where I would read the magazines, guys, and the reason I'm always so nostalgic, specifically for this E3, is because I got to read about it, and I used to live so close to it. I mean, I could jog right to this area, and it was, man, there was so much going on, and I remember wanting to read the magazines, wanting to read about all these games that are coming up, because right now as we speak, you can think of the libraries of the original Xbox, the PlayStation 2, the Dreamcast, the GameCubes, and you can think of bangers, and of course the games got even better for the next two generations, up to the seventh, right? But for me, the seventh really was peak before all the internet stuff came in, and the influence of corporate America and all that stuff. And guys, I'm a capitalist. Don't get me wrong. But I think the undue pressure of microtransactions really has destroyed a lot of the industry, right? A lot of the creativity of the industry. But back then, back during these times, man, it was all about the games. It was all about these companies wanting to create just their own individual gaming experience to offer to the public that was unique for them, right? Microsoft was trying to do something different with the Xbox. PlayStation was establishing their brand, right? And they were the leaders, and they were putting out so many great games, guys. So much of my library I still enjoy the PlayStation 2. I can just pick up the games and play them right now. They're bangers, the same thing with the Dreamcast or the GameCube, and those are the things that we're missing today. There's great games today. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you that the market is dead or anything like that. But the creativity factor, the variety of games that we got, the different offerings, the unique experiences right now, today, all the game controllers look the same. This is one of my complaints, right? That's why I'm always looking for something different. Whether it's a new, AES coming out from Neo Geo, or the M64, a new offering, Chromatic, whatever. The Atari Game Station Go, all, different control systems. I want variety. I don't want the same thing over and over again. Some people do, right? Some people just play the same game over and over again. To me, that's not it. To me, gaming has always been about this. What's in the back of me: variety, choices, different experiences, unique experiences, creativity, experiencing art, because that's what really, at the end of the game, video games are. We are experiencing art, in an interactive way. It's amazing, right? It really is a product of our generation and something we get to enjoy. But let me tell you, this back then was the peak of a lot of things, and people acknowledge that this moment in time right here was the beginning of the modern gaming generations, right? Where you have now the big three, where you have Microsoft, you have Sony, PlayStation, and of course you have Nintendo, right? But the variety and choices that we have back then, man, it was, I enjoyed it. I would look forward every week to read an article, to pick up a magazine, even if it was a couple of months old, so I can get a better price, to read about these games that I could never play, right? Going to the stores and play on the kiosk, experience, even though I didn't own it, I could experience playing on a GameCube or on a Dreamcast, and I remember playing the Xbox a lot, and the big Duke controller, and I didn't get to buy those systems until later, but I always knew I wanted to have them. I had the PlayStation. It was a great system. But the truth is, back then, I wanted all of them. All of them. That's the only thing that could have made things better. That's why I'm saying, if I could go back in time, right, and just go to one E3, right, and experience it all by passes, whatever it is, so I could get access to everything, I would go back to this one. Would I have seen Tommy and Victor Lucas? I don't know. But man, those are great times, and I wish they would come back. Right? A lot of these games we can still experience, guys. What is a little bittersweet for me is that I know for a fact that these times will never return. Right? The industry is just a different industry now. Just has a different direction. Unfortunately, creativity and art is no longer the focus of the gaming industry today as it once was. And that's what is sorely missed, in my humble opinion. Right? I'm not saying there's not great games out there. There is. But compared to the past, compared to the variety of the past, compared to the creativity of the past, let me tell you, they seem like few and far between. When when I was younger, and my parents or my grandparents would say, "Oh, the old days were better," and now I'm saying those things, which is crazy, right? And I'm saying those things, but I wish that today's generation could experience something similar to this, because this, for a lot of people, right, especially other gamers that I talk about, and we talk about this specific era right here, is when a lot of people just became collectors, and they declared themselves gamers. By this time, I've been a gamer for a while, but this right here was the genesis of so many great things. All right, humans, those are my thoughts. What E3 would you go back to if you could? This right here is the one for me. Let me know what you think. Guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.